Marcus Hayes sat in the command chair of the Stellar Dawn and watched the dead planet rotate below him. The ship hung in space above Meridian Prime, silent except for the low hum of the engines. Marcus had been a captain for 15 years, but he had never seen a world look like this one. Entire cities lay in ruins. Human structures had been torn down or buried under massive alien buildings made of black metal and strange, crystalline materials. The communication officer turned to him. Her name was Lisa Chun, and she had been with Marcus for 8 years. "Captain, I am picking up no signals. No radio, no power signatures from the colony. Just dead air everywhere." Marcus nodded slowly. Meridian Prime had been home to 12,000 people. Men, women, and children. Engineers, farmers, teachers, soldiers. All of them had disappeared 70 years ago. No one knew what had happened. Earth Command had sent Marcus to find answers. "Send down a ground team," Marcus said. "Tell them to move carefully. We do not know what is down there." 3 hours later, the ground team sent back their first report. The colony was not destroyed by war. It was transformed. The human structures had been carefully preserved but covered or surrounded by the alien technology. In the center of the old colony, the team found a building that had once been the colonial archive. It was still standing, but its entrance had been sealed with alien machinery. Lieutenant David Park led the ground team himself. He was young but smart, and Marcus trusted him. David's voice came through the communication system, tense and careful. "Captain, we found the archive. The seals are old. We can break through, but it will take time. The alien technology is still powered. It is generating a lot of heat." "What kind of civilization did this?" Marcus asked. "Who are they?" "We do not know yet, sir. But whatever they are, they were here a long time." The team broke through the seals. The archive was dark inside, but they brought lights. What they found shocked everyone on the Stellar Dawn. The archive had been preserved perfectly. Files, documents, and recordings were still intact. Everything was labeled clearly. The humans of Meridian Prime had kept excellent records. But the human records were not the only things inside. The archive also contained files from the aliens. These files showed detailed information about the human colony, measurements of the colonists, records of every person, notes about how humans worked, how they thought, what they were capable of doing. David found something else. A recording device, still working after 70 years. Inside was a message, preserved in perfect condition. He activated it. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She was older, with gray hair and tired eyes. Her name was Patricia Coleman. She had been a scientist in the colony. She looked directly at the recording device as if she could see through time. "If you are seeing this, then we have failed," Patricia said. Her voice was steady, but something underneath was breaking. "Our colony is gone. The people we were are gone. They have taken our names. They have taken our languages. They have taken everything that made us human, and they have given us nothing but numbers and work." Patricia explained what had happened. 70 years ago, a powerful alien species called the Vex had arrived. They had come with weapons and with technology. They had said they wanted to help humanity. They said they wanted to bring the colony into a greater galactic civilization. The colony's leaders had believed them. The Vex had not invaded with force. They had moved slowly. First they brought gifts. Then they brought teachers. Then they began to change the laws. Slowly, the humans of the colony were pushed out of leadership. Their languages were banned. Their names were replaced with numbers. Their children were taken and trained in Vex ways. Within 30 years, no one in the colony spoke English anymore. Within 50 years, no one even remembered their human names. "They are not cruel," Patricia said. That is the terrible thing. They truly believe they are helping us. They believe we are primitive and they are lifting us up. They do not understand what they are destroying. They do not see us as people. They see us as animals being domesticated. They see themselves as the gardeners, and we are the plants in their garden. Patricia described the work the humans were forced to do: mining, building, maintaining machines. The work was not meant to kill them, but it was meant to break them, to make them forget who they were. They erased us from history, Patricia continued. They took the records of humanity and locked them away where no one could find them. Any human who tried to speak about Earth, about our old civilization, about our names and our languages, was taken away. We do not know what happens to them, but they disappear, and no one asks questions anymore. The message went on for almost an hour. Patricia described hiding this archive, working with a small group of humans who had refused to forget. They had recorded everything. They had preserved the names of all 12,000 colonists. They had saved music and literature and history. I do not know if anyone will ever find this, Patricia said. I do not know if Earth still exists. But if you are from Earth, if you are still human, if you still have your names and your languages and your memories, then you must listen to what I am telling you now. The Vex are not the only ones doing this. Other species do the same thing, but the Vex are the strongest. They control more space than anyone, and they are not satisfied with one colony. Patricia leaned closer to the recording device. Somewhere, out in the darkness, there are Vex ships. They are traveling, and they are searching for more humans. They are searching for Earth. When they find it, they will do to your world what they did to us. They will take your names. They will take your languages. They will take your children. And within 100 years, no one will remember that humanity was ever anything but livestock for the Vex. The message ended. Patricia's face faded from the screen, and the recording device went silent. Marcus sat in his command chair, and he felt something cold move through his chest. In his hands, he held a data crystal that contained everything Patricia had preserved. The names of 12,000 humans, their families, their histories, their lives. Everything they had been was here in his hands, hidden in metal and light, waiting to be remembered. Marcus turned to Lisa Chun. "Set course for Earth," he said. "Maximum speed. And send an encrypted message to Earth Command. Tell them we have found the truth about Meridian Prime. Tell them to begin preparations for war. The Vex are coming, and we need to be ready." The stellar dawn turned away from the dead world and began its journey home. Behind it, Meridian Prime continued to spin through the darkness, a world of phantoms waiting for someone to remember what had been lost. The Galactic Council Chamber was built on a neutral space station far from any home world. The station orbited nothing, floated in empty space, and belonged to no single species. It was the place where the 7 greatest civilizations in the galaxy came to make decisions that affected billions of lives. Marcus stood before the council with his father, Admiral Derek Hayes. Marcus carried the data crystal containing Patricia Coleman's records. He knew that what he was about to show them would change everything, or it would change nothing. He was not sure which was worse. The 7 council representatives sat in a semicircle, elevated above Marcus and Derek. Each representative was from a different species. There were the Torn, who stood 7 feet tall with thick gray skin. There were the Zaith, who had tentacles and translated their thoughts through mechanical devices. There were the Kellner, the Vex, and others Marcus did not recognize. The Vex representative was named Executor Vesh. He was tall and thin, with blue skin and eyes that showed no emotion. His race was known throughout the galaxy for being logical and efficient. They built great cities. They created technology that seemed like magic to younger species. They were respected and feared. Marcus played the recording of Patricia Coleman's message. He did not change anything or remove anything. He showed it all, exactly as Patricia had preserved it. He watched the council's faces, trying to understand what they thought. When it was finished, there was silence. Then the Kellner representative began to laugh. Its sound was like wind chimes made of broken glass. "You come here with accusations?" The Kellner said. "You bring us a 70-year-old recording from a dead woman and ask us to believe it. This is fantasy. This is a human story designed to frighten and to mislead." The torn representative leaned forward. The human colony on Meridian Prime was peaceful. There was no conquest, no violence. The people integrated into Vex society. They were given homes, given work, given protection. This is what the Vex do. They are the greatest civilization in this galaxy. Marcus felt anger rise in his throat. They erased an entire people from history. They took away their names, their languages, everything that made them human. They elevated them, the Zaith representative said, its translator making the words sound mechanical and cold. They gave them purpose. Humans without guidance are destructive. Every human civilization destroys itself. The Vex prevented that. Executor Vesh had not spoken. His blue eyes studied Marcus and Derek carefully. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet and reasonable. "The facts are not disputed," Vesh said. "The humans of Meridian Prime were integrated into our society. They became productive members of the galactic economy. No one was forced. No one was harmed. We provided stability and order." "Is this a crime?" Derek stepped forward. His military uniform was covered with medals from conflicts the Council had authorized. "It is a crime because those people had a choice taken from them. They had a right to remain human. They had a right to their names and their languages. Rights?" The Zaith translator made the words sound like an insult. "You speak of primitive concepts as if they have meaning. The universe is not built on rights. It is built on efficiency, stability, order. The Vex provide all of these things." Marcus turned to the Torn. "In 70 years, the entire human population of Meridian Prime was transformed. Children did not even know they were human. That is not integration. That is genocide." The Kellner laughed again. "Genocide requires death. These humans live. They are productive. They have food and shelter and purpose. By your own standards, they are better off than they were before." Derek's voice became very hard. "Earth demands that you acknowledge what happened on Meridian Prime. We demand that you create laws preventing this Vex from attacking any other human settlements. We demand compensation for the colonists who were taken." The council erupted in noise. Translators created a chaos of sound as the representatives spoke over each other. Finally, the eldest member of the council, a Zaith who had lived longer than any other being in the chamber, raised a tendril and demanded silence. "The Galactic Council votes," the old Zaith said. "The question is whether the actions of the Vex on Meridian Prime violated the treaties of this council. All in favor of sanctions against the Vex, raise your hand." No hands were raised. "Not one. The motion fails," the old Zaith said. "And further, I move that this council view the allegations of Admiral Derek Hayes as an attack on the reputation of the Vex, and by extension, an attack on the stability of this entire council." All in favor. 6 hands rose. Only the Torn representative remained silent. "The motion passes," the old Zaith said. "Earth will face economic sanctions. Trade will be restricted. Technology sharing will end. Earth is now isolated from all Council protection and all Council resources. If Earth wishes to continue as a spacefaring civilization, it will do so without assistance from the Galactic Council." Marcus wanted to shout. He wanted to grab Executor Vesh by the throat and force him to explain how he could sit there and justify the erasure of an entire people. But Derek put a hand on his shoulder and squeezed once, hard. The message was clear. Stay silent. Stay in control. As they left the council chamber, Derek pulled Marcus aside. We are not finished, Derek said. We are just beginning. Back on Earth, Derek immediately called for a military mobilization. But before he could implement it, he called Marcus into a private room. On the screen was intelligence from their spies throughout the galaxy. It was terrifying. The Vex were building something massive. Initial estimates put the fleet size at 5,000 military vessels. They were approaching the Sol system, slowly but deliberately. The Vex were coming to Earth. Derek looked at his son. The Council just isolated us from every ally we have. We are alone. The Vex know we know the truth about Meridian Prime, and now they are coming. We have maybe 6 months to prepare for a war that we cannot possibly win. Marcus looked at the intelligence data, at the size of the Vex fleet, at the numbers that said humanity was doomed. Then we make sure it costs them everything, Marcus said. Even if we lose, we make them understand that humans are not prey. We are not cargo to be transported and remade. We are something they have never encountered before. Derek nodded. Then we prepare for reckoning, he said. Outside the window, Earth rotated below them. 12 billion people lived on that world. Every single one of them was about to be tested in ways they could not imagine. And almost none of them knew it yet. The announcement came on every screen, every radio, every communication device on Earth. Admiral Derek Hayes stood before the cameras and spoke to all 12 billion people at once. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of truth. Humanity faces extinction, Derek said. A powerful alien species called the Vex is coming to our world. They will arrive in approximately 5 months. They do not come with peace. They come to take what we are and remake us into something else. I am declaring mandatory military conscription for all able-bodied citizens. I am implementing emergency rationing. I am converting all civilian industries to military production. We are going to war. And we are going to fight with everything we have. The world changed overnight. Factories that had made consumer goods began making weapons. Schools became military training centers. The stock market collapsed. Governments fell or transformed into military councils. Some countries tried to resist. Some cities erupted in chaos. But slowly humanity began to focus on a single objective. Survival. Captain Lauren Mitchell ran the weapons development program from a secret facility deep underground. She had once been an engineer designing comfortable homes for people. Now she designed things that could kill. The Vex had sent drone ships with their advance force. These drones were heavily armed and nearly invulnerable. Lauren studied them obsessively. Working with her was Dr. Kevin Torres, a scientist who had spent his career studying alien technology. He had never been allowed to experiment with real Vex equipment until now. Now he had pieces of destroyed drones to take apart. The armor is 3 molecules thick, Kevin explained to Lauren. No, it is more than that. It is almost like the molecules are layered in a pattern that deflects energy. Our conventional weapons cannot penetrate it. Lauren looked at the drone wreckage. What about combining our targeting systems with their power output? We cannot match their armor, but what if we do not try to? What if we create a weapon that focuses all available power into a single point, a single moment? They worked for 3 months. When they finished, they had created something new. A hybrid weapon that took human innovation and alien technology and made them into something deadly. They called it a pulse cannon. It could destroy a Vex drone with a single shot. But a single shot was not enough. The Vex had thousands of ships. Humanity would need hundreds of pulse cannons, and they had to build them before the Vex arrived. Marcus's sister, Grace Hayes, was different from her brother. While Marcus thought strategically, Grace thought tactically. She understood how individual people could change the outcome of a war. She began gathering pilots, the best ones she could find. She trained them in unconventional flying, in methods that the Vex would not expect. The Vex fight like a machine, Grace told her pilots. They think in straight lines. They calculate probabilities. They are predictable. We will use that. We will move in ways that make no sense, that seem suicidal, that waste resources by their calculations. We will confuse them. And in that confusion, we will hurt them. The pilots called themselves Defiant Squadron. They were young, hungry, and willing to die if it meant hurting the enemy. Grace trained them until they could fly in coordinated patterns that seemed impossible, turns that no AI could predict. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Vasquez worked in a building that had once been a university. She was a psychologist, trained to understand how human minds worked. Now she was trying to keep human minds from breaking. Every day, more and more people came to her. Soldiers terrified of what they would face. Workers exhausted from building weapons that would only slow an inevitable defeat. Children asking why adults were saying goodbye to each other as if they would never meet again. "We are dying," a soldier told her. "Everyone knows it. The Vex will destroy us. Why are we pretending otherwise?" Elena did not lie to him. "We are fighting because that is what humans do," she said. "We fight when the odds are impossible. We fight to protect the people we love. We fight because we are here, and we are alive, and we refuse to be erased from the universe without a voice. Whether we win or lose, that matters. It matters that we stood up. It matters that we were here." Derek moved through Earth like a commander preparing for death. He did not spend much time with his family anymore. There were too many decisions to make. Too many impossible choices. How much food do you give to soldiers, and how much to the population that feeds them? Which cities do you fortify, and which do you leave to be overrun? What do you tell people who ask if there is any hope? One evening, Derek sat with Marcus in his office. The walls were covered with maps and data. Thousands of communications came in every second. Reports from every military installation on Earth. "We have 150 ships capable of fighting," Derek said. "The Vex have 5,000. We can kill some of them, but it will not be enough." "What if it does not need to be enough?" Marcus asked. "What if the point is not to win? What if the point is to make them understand that humans are not what they think we are?" Derek looked at his son. "What do you mean?" "The Vex think we are animals," Marcus said. "They think we are primitives that can be remade into whatever they want." But Patricia's message, the courage of the people of Meridian Prime, the fact that they tried to resist and preserve themselves even when they were completely surrounded, that is not animal behavior. That is the behavior of a people with dignity and will. We show them that. We make them see it. Even if we die, they will know what they killed. Derek reached across the desk and gripped his son's hand. "Then that is what we do," Derek said. "We become a reminder. We become something they can never erase." On the final day before the Vex fleet entered the solar system, Derek went on every communication channel. His message was broadcast to every human in the world, and also sent out to every listening device in the galaxy. "The Vex think humanity is forgotten," Derek said. "They think we are a species of phantoms, memories that can be erased. But we are here. We are alive. We have names. We have histories. We have language and music and love and grief. We have everything that makes consciousness precious in this universe. The Vex are coming to take that from us. But I tell you now, across all worlds and all stars, that they will have to destroy every single one of us to do it. And in the moment they destroy us, they will know they were in a war. They will know they were challenged. They will know that humanity existed and humanity fought back. This is our promise. This is our reckoning. The camera cut off. And across Earth, in military installations and homes and shelters, 12 billion people prepared for the moment when the sky would open and fire would fall. The Vex fleet entered the solar system like a swarm of locusts. 5,000 ships emerged from the darkness of space, each one capable of destroying an entire city. Their formation was perfect, their approach mathematical and inevitable. The Vex had never met resistance they could not overcome, and they did not expect to meet it now. Grace Hayes sat in the command chair of an experimental fighter. It was sleek and fast, designed for speed and maneuverability rather than armor. Around her were 79 other pilots from Defiant Squadron. They had trained for months for this moment. They were terrified and ready. "All units, this is Defiant's leader," Grace said into the communication system. "We are going in. Stay loose. Stay fast. Make them chase you and make them miss. Remember your training. And remember what we are fighting for. These pilots do not think like us. Let us show them how humans fight." The Defiant Squadron launched directly at the center of the Vex formation. It was suicide. 30 Vex fighters intercepted them immediately. The human pilots should have been destroyed in the first seconds. But they did not fight the way Vex pilots fought. They did not try to match firepower. They scattered like birds. They moved in unpredictable patterns. They used the planets and moons and asteroid fields as cover. They fought not as individuals, but as a coordinated unit, each pilot protecting the others. Each movement designed to confuse and disorient. The first Vex fighter exploded. Then a second. The Vex were not accustomed to losses. Their machines were superior. Their tactics were proven. And yet they were dying. Grace pulled her fighter into a dive that no mechanical being would attempt. Her body pressed against the seat with crushing force. A Vex missile passed where she had been, missing by meters. She fired upward, and the missile that had just missed her became ammunition for her gun. The Vex fighter exploded, but for every Vex fighter they destroyed, 10 more came forward. The Defiant Squadron was being pushed back. Grace watched as pilot after pilot was overwhelmed and destroyed. She watched Marcus Chun, one of her best pilots, take a direct hit. His fighter became a ball of flame and fell toward Mars. "Maintain formation," Grace said, but her voice was shaking. "We are hurting them." "Keep going." Marcus Hayes, commanding the defensive fleet from the main battle station, watched the slaughter in the outer system. Defiant Squadron was buying time, but the cost was terrible. He had known it would be terrible. He had trained to accept terrible costs. The main Vex fleet advanced, and the human fleet moved to intercept. 150 ships against 5,000. The mathematics made it clear what would happen. The mathematics were wrong. The human fleet did not try to match the Vex in their style of combat. Instead, they used the planets themselves. They used gravity wells and solar radiation and the complex dance of celestial mechanics. Ships that should have been destroyed used the gravitational pull of Jupiter to accelerate past the Vex defenses. Ships that should have been surrounded instead moved through asteroid fields that Vex sensors could not track. Lauren Mitchell's pulse cannons began to deliver results. The first major Vex ship to be hit, a battlecruiser carrying 10,000 soldiers, was torn apart by a focused pulse of energy. The destruction was complete. The ship came apart in massive sections that fell toward the inner planets. The Vex formation began to destabilize. They had expected a simple campaign, a quick victory, the absorption of another species into their control. Instead, they were fighting a war against an enemy that did not think the way they did, that did not value the same things they did. that was willing to sacrifice everything because everything was already being taken from them. Captain Matthew Cole commanded a destroyer called the Human's Last Hope. It was crewed by volunteers, and everyone on board knew they would likely not survive the day. Matthew was 46 years old. He had children. He had a husband waiting on Earth. He had music he wanted to listen to and books he wanted to read. He knew he would never listen to that music or read those books again, but he also knew what was at stake. So when the strategic analysis showed that a suicide run could cripple the Vex supply lines, Matthew volunteered to lead it. "All hands, this is Captain Cole," he said. "In a few moments, we are going to accelerate directly into the heart of the Vex fleet. We will not have time to stop or turn back. We will hit their command and supply ships, and then we will detonate our reactor. Every single person on this ship will die today, but every person on this ship will know that we did something that matters. We will know that we fought back. That is enough. That is all we need." The destroyer accelerated. Vex fire rained down on it, and the armor began to fail. Matthew watched the shields drop on the display in front of him. The human crew did not stop. They accelerated faster. They ran directly at death because they understood something the Vex did not understand. That sometimes dying for something is worth more than living for nothing. The Human's Last Hope detonated. The explosion was visible from Earth's moon. 3 Vex battle cruisers were destroyed. Another 5 were damaged beyond immediate repair. The Vex lost a supply fleet that had been keeping their forces combat ready. Matthew's final message was transmitted on all channels. For Meridian. For those we lost. For the future we will build. Tell my family I love them. Tell Earth I was proud to be human. Back on Earth, the transmission was played to everyone. 12 billion people watched their neighbor, their brother, their warrior, sacrifice himself. And something happened that the Vex could not understand. Instead of breaking, humanity became harder, more determined, more willing to die. Derek made the decision. He committed Earth's last reserve forces. Every ship still capable of fighting. Every pilot still alive. Every soldier who could hold a weapon. He knew it meant Earth would have almost no defense if the Vex broke through. But he also knew that an army holding back reserves was an army that was already defeated. The human fleet converged on the Vex command vessel. It was the size of a small moon, covered in weapon systems and protected by shields that had never been breached. The human ships attacked it with everything they had. Waves of fighters, volleys of missiles, pulse cannon fire that tore chunks of armor away. The command vessel's shields began to fail. Grace, in her damaged fighter with fuel for only a few more minutes of flight, saw her opening. She dove toward the center of the shield failure. Enemy fire followed her. Some of it connected, and her fighter began to tear apart. But she had enough control for one more maneuver. She drove her fighter directly through the shield gap and targeted the main reactor of the command vessel. She fired everything she had left. The reactor ignited. The command vessel's destruction lit up the solar system like a second sun. The Vex fleet, suddenly, without command and without leadership, stopped advancing. For the first time since they had emerged from the darkness, they experienced fear. Derek transmitted another message. "This is Admiral Derek Hayes of Earth. We are still here. We are still fighting. And we are not finished." The remaining Vex forces began to retreat. Executor Vesh floated in a gravity chamber on what remained of the Vex fleet's primary command ship. Around him, his military advisors reported on the disaster. 40% of the fleet destroyed. 60,000 soldiers dead. The supply lines shattered. The invasion halted. The humans, a species the Vex had considered barely worthy of slavery, had defeated them. This was not how it was supposed to happen. The Vex had absorbed 100 civilizations. No one had ever fought back with this kind of intensity, this kind of dedication, this kind of willingness to die rather than surrender. Executor Vesh did not understand it. His data models did not predict it. His calculations had failed him. Derek boarded the remaining Vex command ship alone. He carried the data crystal containing Patricia Coleman's records. He walked through the corridors, past Vex soldiers who did not try to stop him. They were broken. They had been defeated, and defeat was a concept their minds could not process. Derek found Executor Vesh in the command chamber. The Vex looked at the human admiral with something that might have been confusion. "We underestimated you," Vesh said. "You did not underestimate us," Derek replied. "You did not see us at all. You saw tools. You saw objects to be reshaped. You did not see people. People do not surrender because the mathematics says surrender is logical. People fight because they have something to lose. People die because it matters to them. You took the people of Meridian Prime and tried to erase them. They erased themselves trying to fight back. And we remembered them." Derek activated the data crystal. Vesh watched as the life stories of 12,000 humans played before him. Not as data, as people, as lives with depth and meaning and resistance. As a species that the Vex had broken, but could not keep broken. Patricia Coleman appeared on the screen again. "If you are hearing this, then we endured. We became phantoms in the memory of those who feared us. But phantom fire burns the brightest." Vesh stood silent. For the first time in his existence, the logical calculations failed to provide an answer. "What do you want from us?" Vesh asked. "I want you to leave," Derek said. "I want you to go back to your territory and never return to human space. I want you to release any humans still under your control. And I want you to remember this. I want you to remember that you tried to erase us and you failed." The Vex withdrew. Their fleet limped back through the darkness of space, damaged and defeated. The human victory was complete, but it had cost everything. 40,000 soldiers dead. Countless civilians lost in the bombardment of military installations. The entire human economy converted and destroyed. Entire cities in ruins. But humanity had survived. And that was something the Vex would never take from them again. Marcus left for Meridian Prime 6 months later. The world was still recovering. The Vex had left their installation standing, but they had stripped them of anything valuable. The planet was a shell, a place where a ghost civilization had lived. Marcus brought with him a delegation of historians, scientists, and descendants. Some of those descendants were not even human anymore. 70 years of Vex rule had changed the genetics of the people of Meridian Prime, but they carried human DNA. They carried human names in their genetic records. They were still, in some way, human. Marcus stood on the highest mountain of Meridian Prime and looked out at the landscape. The sun was dying, turning this world slowly into a barren rock. But for now, it still had light. For now, it still had beauty. A woman approached him. Her name was Sarah, but her genetic records showed her birth name had been Jennifer Park. Her great-great-grandmother had been human. But that line was so diluted now that she barely qualified as human herself. And yet, she was here. "My family told stories," Sarah said. "Stories that were not allowed to be told. Stories about a place called Earth, about humans who were free, about names that meant something. I did not believe they were real. But now I am here, and I know they are real." "Your ancestor preserved those stories," Marcus said. "Even when she had to hide them, even when she could have been taken away for remembering them, she preserved them. That made all of this possible. That made your existence possible." Over the following weeks, Marcus helped establish the Meridian Memorial. It was a place where the names of all 12,000 colonists were carved in stone. Tourists came from across the galaxy to see it. The Galactic Council, having witnessed humanity's strength, had reversed the sanctions. Humans were now recognized as a spacefaring power. They could negotiate. They could fight. They deserved respect. Derek stepped down as military commander. He was too old now, and he had lost too much. He wanted to spend his remaining years with his family, with people he loved, in a way that did not involve calculating how many humans had to die. For strategic victory. Grace did not retire from the military, but she transformed her role. She established the Academy of Human Defiance, a school for pilots and soldiers from every species. She taught them what humanity had learned in those terrible months. She taught them that sometimes the inferior force could win by understanding something the superior force did not understand. That courage was not logical. That sacrifice could be stronger than calculation. Lauren continued her research, but she changed its focus. Instead of weapons designed to kill, she designed systems meant to protect. Defensive shields, early warning systems, ways to detect approaching danger before it arrived. She worked with alien scientists from the Galactic Council, teaching them how to combine human creativity with alien technology. Elena Vasquez continued her work with damaged soldiers and traumatized civilians. Millions of humans were broken by what they had experienced. They had faces burned into their memories. They had lost people they loved. The war had ended, but the war inside their minds continued. Elena helped them remember that surviving was not the same as living, that life could exist again after trauma. Marcus took an ambassadorial position representing Earth to the Galactic Council. He sat in the same chamber where the Council had laughed at his accusations about Meridian Prime. Now they listened to him carefully. Now they treated him with respect that came from fear and understanding. On the anniversary of the victory, Marcus returned to Meridian Prime alone. He climbed the same mountain where he had stood with Sarah. In his hands, he carried Patricia Coleman's original logs, no longer encrypted or hidden. He opened the sealed recording device and played Patricia's final message one more time. Her face appeared, tired and broken and beautiful. If you are hearing this, then we endured. We became phantoms in the memory of those who feared us. But phantom fire burns the brightest. Marcus closed his eyes and felt the wind from an alien world move across his face. He was standing on a planet that had been part of humanity once, then had been taken from them, and now was being remembered again. All across the galaxy, other humans told the story. The story of Meridian Prime. The story of Patricia Coleman and the 12,000 colonists who refused to be erased. The story of humanity that had been forgotten and had come back with fire and reckoning. The phantoms had become legends. And legends never die. They only grow more powerful with time. In the darkness of space, the story traveled. It moved from star to star. It was told to species that had never seen a human. It was told to children who had never heard of Earth. And in every telling, it became stronger. It became more real. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never forget again.